Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the K2 Antidote. This board is equipped with K2's twin camber profile, so what that means is just like pretty much all those old boards were, it's just true camber from contact point to contact point. It does have a little bit of spoon in the nose and the tail after those contact points. That's just gonna help with float. All that camber is gonna help with stability, pop, and all of that drive that you're looking for out of an aggressive board. This board comes in a 148, a 151, a 154, a 157, 158 wide, a 159, a 161 wide, a 162, and a 163 wide. I rode this board at Steamboat Springs, where it felt like two completely different days. When I first got there in the morning, it was crazy flat light with super hard snow and death cookies everywhere. The day before it got super warm, froze overnight. I don't even know if they groomed just with how like variable all of that ice was really. Where you'd be going and all of a sudden you're just getting bucked just because there was a giant ice rock in the middle of the run. Towards the end of the day, about noon I would say, the sun poked out and it got just beautiful, nice and warm, where it turned into mashed potatoes and just like that perfect spring day really. I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. Right off the bat when we're talking flex, this board is stiff in pretty much every single way. Torsionally, you're gonna feel resistance. You're gonna really feel all that energy that you can store up in the board when you're going to ollie it, anything like that, going to butter it. It really just is stiff in general. When it comes to stability though, that definitely transfers right over to it, where you get it on edge, it holds, you ride in flat base, you don't really have a speed limit on this thing. When I found all of that crusty, nasty area, I did feel it a little bit underfoot, like you could definitely feel that you went over something, but it never skipped a beat or anything like that. It just kept its edge the whole time. When we talk how damp this board is, it is damp, but it definitely has lively tendencies to it where it springs you in and out of turns, that sort of thing. It absorbs all those micro vibrations, but when you get to that big, nasty, chunky spots, you're gonna feel it a little bit more. When you're going to load this thing up for an ollie, just make sure you know it does take a little bit more time to load up there, where it's not a directly underfoot or anything like that. You're gonna actually exaggerate your ollie movement a little bit by really shifting those hips and using this tail as a spring. Now it is stable on popping and landing, so when we translate that over into the jumps, you can really take it off of any jump you want. Go as big as you really want to, because you load this thing up, you set that edge in if you're going to spin, or you keep it a little bit more flat based, and it just feels very stable, where you get it loaded up and you know you're gonna make that landing as long as you have the right speed. Now when you are spinning off of jumps with this thing, it does set that edge on the landing extremely well. You put that contact point in first and it's gonna stop that rotation, where if you're spinning a little bit too much, it's gonna stop you dead in your tracks and you're gonna be good to go. Since I have you here, make sure you like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any videos we have coming out. As you could have guessed from pretty much everything I've said previously to this, it's not gonna be the greatest at buttering. Yeah, you can do super high speed butters on the nose. Just make sure that you are going fast and you're leaning really heavy on it, just because it does take quite a bit more. So you're shifting your weight all the way to the front, you're bending that leg and you're really trying to pry this thing up. Same with on the tail, you're gonna definitely be putting a lot more work into it. Now when you translate over into jibbing on it, I had the hardest time pressing like the tail or the nose on a rail on this. I get about halfway through and that thing just wants to sit back down. So not gonna be the greatest for that. When you are sliding it sideways, I never came from the top ropes, but it did feel pretty decent. It did feel a little heavy, a little clanky, but nothing that I was getting bucked off on or anything like that. It definitely excels in the jump category as opposed to the jibbing category. When you're taking those short, just quick carves, it does take a little bit more to get it over on edge, I would say, where you are putting more effort in. Since it is so stiff and full camber, it does want to pretty much stay flat. Now when you get it up to speed though, on those medium and those larger carves, it does hold an edge extremely well, where it just wants to go, it wants to keep its speed. And on those large carves, I had zero problem with any death cookies, any variable terrain. It just motored right through all of it. If you're gonna Euro carve this thing, make sure you're coming in hot, because when you make that full Euro carve around, it wants to stay on that edge. So it might take a little bit more to get it off and exit that turn. The rider for this board is gonna be that advanced guy. If you're an intermediate, don't even look at this board, because you're gonna wanna be on top of your shit. This thing, super advanced rider where they want to go from the park to the mountain and take all of the biggest features with speed, and they're probably getting freestyle out on the cliff section, all of that jazz. They're definitely that more advanced guy. I know I've said it, but I really want to get that point across. If you want to fund my Taco Bell addiction, why don't you head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I really enjoyed this board. It felt like just a twinned out Alchemist, honestly, especially with this 3D in the nose on the top sheet there, where this thing ripped. I really just wanted to go fast and take every side hit I possibly could, as big as I possibly could. It's definitely that aggressive ride that it's pretty much cracked up to be. I mean, Sage designed this thing for natural selection, so that should give you an idea there. But overall, it's a great board. Just keep in mind, it is gonna be that aggressive board that if you take a run off on it, it might actually kick your ass. Comparable boards, the Arbor Candle Rain, Libtech TRS, and the Jones Mountain Twin Pro. Recommended bindings, the K2 Program, the Jones Mercury, and the Union Atlas. This has been my review for the K2 Antidote. If you enjoyed it, why don't you watch one of the videos that we have for the comparable boards.